Hello, welcome to Stories from the Earth. My name is Jennifer. This is episode 17. It's a special live episode. We are live on the Stories from the Earth Facebook group. We are live on the Stories from the Earth YouTube channel, and we are also live on the Seawolf Herbs and Tarot YouTube channel. So if you are watching from any of those, and or later in the future listening to our audio, welcome. This is probably the first time in history I've started on time. So it's probably because I have 4 other people holding me to that. So I'd like to introduce my co-host Ellen down there.
Hello, everyone.
We are waiting for our 5th person. She's having a little trouble getting on, but we are going to go ahead and start. And we're going to start with some introductions. Oh, but first we're going to tell you that we are going to be talking about herbal books today. So this is a herbal book chat. Yes. This idea sort of came around because through the interviews with Stories from the Earth and everyone, I had a book question and there was a lot of enthusiasm, and all of us herbalists seem to really love herbal books and books in general. Oh, I think we've got Jamie. I'm gonna add her. Hello.
Hello.
You made it just in time. Welcome.
It's a hot spot. I have internet not working. Yeah, thank you.
Oh no.
Hopefully I'll be able to stay on. I don't know what's happening.
Well, we will make sure to have you do at least one of your books early on, just in case.
Yeah.
You get bumped up.
Yeah.
So we're just about to start with introductions. I think I'm going to start with we'll go with Lori and we'll go all the way around. But I guess I'll start with myself. I guess you know me. My name is Jennifer. I have a Etsy shop called Seawolf Herbs. I make herbal salves, oils, and stuff like that. Lip balms. I have another channel called Seawolf Herbs and Tarot. I do herbal and tarot stuff. And then I do this podcast called Stories from the Earth. So, yes. All right. Lori.
My turn. I'm Lori. I am the owner of Sister Mother Earth. I make fire ciders and shelf-stable elderberry syrups, herbal infused honeys, and finishing salts with a little bit of magic included. So I'm getting ready to open a Kitchen Witch class series, which I'm pretty excited about. And I actually have, I thought that I would venture into the witch boxes. So we have a lot of local food in the witch box, Ostara witch box right now. And then some fun recipes with a little bit of kitchen witchery. So those are available right now. So that's kind of our endeavors that we're working on right now.
Yeah, they look really cool. If you go, everyone's links are going to be in the show notes. They're in the descriptions. And we will at the end when we'll wrap up, we'll talk about everyone's stuff again. And but yeah, if you have a chance to follow Sister of Mother Earth's Instagram, you'll see those boxes and they look really, really cool. So
thanks.
Yeah. Miss Ellen.
My name's Ellen Zelm, and I run Middle Path Nutrition and Wellness Center in Canton, North Carolina. Got a little shop that features some local product and supplies for health needs in my community, as well as doing some for donation only type classes on nutrition and herbs, and have some practitioners in the space doing massage and acupuncture. And now I get to be part of this venture of telling stories revolving around the earth and plants with my friend Jennifer. Thanks.
Yeah. Miss Jamie.
Hi, I'm Jamie Sparks. I'm the owner of Urban Pharmacy, and that's started as a herbal CSA, all locally grown or wild crafted herbs, and now just mostly a lot of different herbal products, mostly local. as well as a lot of education. I'm really excited. I've kind of moved away from teaching at as many herb schools and doing more of my own classes. And I have a whole Choose Your Own Plant Adventure series that's starting for 4-week sessions for people to choose online or in-person classes out of Asheville. Really excited about. And do clinical herbal consultations and lots of botany and massage therapy as well. So yeah, I'm excited to talk books. That's always fun. Yeah.
Awesome. And also I did get a chance to look at those new classes, and they look really great. I think it's really great for someone just getting their toes wet into, the herbal world.
Especially right now with just kind of the world feeling so in flux, to offer more options for people or gaps they have, or just what feels like their capacity at this point in our wild world.
Yeah. Where Miss Heather? You're up. Is Miss Heather
Hi, I'm Heather. And I am an enthusiast. I love to garden and grow everything, and I've been doing it all my life. I'm not, an herbalist. I had training in anything. Delve into doing more herbal tinctures and things, but just for myself and my family, not hoping to open any kind of business around it. So, but I love herbs, so and plants and flowers and weeds. So,
yes,
And
there you go.
And books. In fact, Heather was telling me that cabinet she's behind her is a book filled with books. So, and Heather has a YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, filled with books.
Yes.
Where I just show my garden.
Yes. Yes, and your cats.
Cats.
How many cats do you have now, Heather?
7.
7.
And a stray. I think one stray.
Oh, a new one.
Yeah, he's been coming around a bit. Leone. Yeah. Oh, and here comes one on cue.
Oh, hello. What do we have?
Wilder.
Come
to interrupt.
He's gotten big.
Go. Yeah, he has. He's a teenager now, so.
Your internet is just a little laggy, and you're freezing a lot, Heather. But
I know. I noticed that.
it's okay. Hopefully it'll get better. If not, we'll work with it. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay. All right. So we have each prepared some of our. Hello. We have a comment. Wood Thrush Cottage. Hi, Diane. Hi, ladies. Joining you on my lunch half hour. Awesome. So we'll try to jump into the books, so you'll get some of that on your lunch. And I wanted to say, everyone who's watching, if you have any questions or comments, please leave it in the chat, and I will relay it to the group. So I've already seen Diane once today in a chat. We were in a chat. Someone else was live this morning, so. All right, so we're gonna start with Lori, and I think we're gonna do something fun here with the. Wrong. How do I not put myself in here? A good question. I don't know the answer, so we'll leave it like this. I wanted to put us small and Lori big, but oh well. Can I move people? Oh! There we go. Look at that. Oh wait, now I can't see myself. Hold on. I can fix this.
Oh yeah, you got your.
I got my thing. Yeah, we can just take it off for a minute. So, all right. Cool. So, what book? What's your first? Yes. What's your first book today? secret medicines from your garden.
Yes, this is for healing, spirituality, and magic, which, like, I bought this. I had never, I mean, I just saw it somewhere and thought, that really looks good. I'm just going to get it. I took it on a whim. And it's probably one of my favorite books. The author, there's a great introduction by Matthew Wood in this book about her. She's obviously been doing this a really long time. And the thing that drew me to the book was that she's a tree herbalist. And she really focuses on a lot of the kitchen remedies and kitchen foods, because that's kind of my thing. I really bring in the food and the herbs, taking them every day, and in our foods, hence Kitchen Witch.
Right.
And she does talk a lot about that. It's just one of those great books, that a good reference book for a lot of things. And it's also, I feel like, a really good introduction for herbalists to dive into the magic and the spirituality of each plant, because she really goes into that. A lot of herbal astrology, which is really great. And I'll be honest, I don't feel like there's tons and tons of books about that. I mean, there's some good ones that are out there, but she touches on that. And then she really pushes the recipes, which is something that I like. It's also, I'm taking all my answers from your questions. The pictures in this book are phenomenal. And I didn't even realize there was some when I bought it, but they're in color.
Ooh.
And
Okay.
And she's got them all throughout the book. I mean, like, it's fantastic. So that was another thing that drew me to the book, because I love pictures and I love guides. She is a druidess, so she does a lot of earth magic, which I really am drawn to. She's a lore mistress. She calls her a lore mistress because she does talk about that a lot in this book, the lore of the plants, which I always find interesting. The best thing that I like about this book, which I'm not a clinical herbalist, I'm just a medicine maker. I really focus on food as medicine, but I would love to be able to get into that one day. And she has probably the best, like, beginner's guide for formulation, and this chart that I've never seen before. I mean, like, it is just, she goes through, and I mean, it is pages and pages.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm just really impressed by the work that has gone into this, and what she's giving away. I mean, this is probably years of her studying, of her practicing, and she's giving it all away in this book. It's just unbelievable to me.
Wait, Ellen? Yep.
Lori, because it's hard to see on the screen, can you explain how that chart's laid out? Is it like it says the name of a formula and what parts go into it, or like how detailed?
Well, no. Okay, so the beginning chapter of this, she talks about the formulation. Let me show a picture. A couple of pictures. I can get to it. Here we go.
Whoa.
She goes through different modalities. Let me turn the page here. And how to, start working with the herbs and, their equations. She does give a lot of explanation. And then she goes into this. So it gives the common and plant part, the scientific name, the thermal and moisture properties, the application, all the way through.
Wow.
I mean, it's a huge list. In fact, it reminds me a lot of, is it Jennifer? She might be able to, it's one that I think, Matthew Wood was a big.
This one. Oh God, was it this one?
Yes. Okay. So, there's some that are just very expansive, but I feel like for this book, she gives a lot. It's worth the money just to have that.
This one is almost too, I want to say too technical.
Mm-hmm.
you know, we read this for herb school, and I don't think I was ready for it. So it sounded like she's done a good job of making it a little more.
This is
personal.
layman's terms.
What?
Layman's terms.
Layman's terms, right? But not that this is bad, but like, you know, maybe, yeah. Don't jump into that one first. This one first.
Yes, and she has a big section on wild crafting, and she shares a lot of recipes of wild food and tree food, which is, I love that very much. Especially since I'm surrounded by trees, I'm constantly, because I've been felt drawn to learn a little more about the trees in my area. And I just love it that she dives big time into that. I'm definitely an herbal kitchen witch, but I do a lot of stuff with food as well, and she really goes into that too. And that's probably one of the reasons why I was drawn to this book. One of my quotes. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering if you had a favorite like recipe, or have you gotten a chance to make any of the? Yes,
hold on, let me get to it. White pine cookies.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I love white pine. I'm surrounded by them. In fact, occasionally I'll do an article in our local paper. It's recipes with the kitchen witch, and I did a big thing on white pine because I just love white pine. It's just a beautiful tree, and it offers so much to us. And when I saw that recipe, that was the first one I made out of this book. It's so good. But one of the quotes that I wanted to share with y'all says, what some call magic is simply a ritual act that reinforces the will and intent of the practitioner. If our thoughts on a subject are strong enough and our creative will and emotions become engaged, matter responds on the quantum level. And, you know, I really like that because when you're working with plants, there's been times that I've taken classes and we've talked about this. Once we have that connection with the plant, we can call on that plant and it will do work for us. And because we have that relationship and we're working together. And I truly believe that the intentions and the connections that we have with these plants, the more we work with them and the more we cultivate that relationship, the more powerful they become. And we become together. And this book really helps with that. I mean, it's just an amazing book. Anybody starting into the plant spirit, because I love Buhner. I've got several of his books and he's amazing, but sometimes it's a little much. And I really feel like she brings it down to where anybody is able to understand that it's important to have a relationship with plants.
We have a question from the chat. So the Wood Thrush Cottage asks, is the paper that you write for, is it online?
Yeah, it's the News Sentinel and Record for Mars Hill, for Madison County.
Okay.
I think that they archive them so that you can go back and look at them.
Was that the News Sentinel or?
Let me look real quick.
Okay.
I don't know if it's News Sentinel or the News and Record Sentinel. It's something like that. But it's from Madison County. Local paper. See the News. Oops. You might find it before me.
No, maybe I will. Ha ha.
Let's see. It's just our local paper. In fact, that one. No. Well, you know what?
I didn't find it.
I think that one they sent on to Asheville Citizen Times. I think it's in the Asheville Citizen Times.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes they share, local papers share with Asheville Citizen Times, and I think the White Pine was with Asheville Sentinel. It's News, Record, and Sentinel.
Record and Sentinel.
News, Record,
and Sentinel. Can you pop that link into the private chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
And do I do it right here?
Yeah. You just click on it. It should be like a private chat button, and you should be able to type it.
Okay, sounds good.
So
Okay.
Lori, had you already been delving into like the kitchen witchery stuff and then you found her book, or was her book kind of like a launching point of inspiration for you?
I had already been in kitchen witchery, and in fact, my first time diving into the plant spirit stuff was with Asia Suler. She does a whole course on plant intuitive medicine, and it does fascinate me. Sometimes, though, with the job and just what I do, I don't get to participate in that aspect of it as much as I'd like. So I wanted to start buying books and doing things that helped me more with that. And that's how I found this book.
Nice.
But it gives a lot. Like, I didn't even go into half of what she gives in this book, because she just gives it all away. It's amazing to me.
Well, the only thing I didn't put up is links to all these books. So that'll be that will be later. I will add them to the on the YouTube. It'll be in the comments. I'm sorry, in the description. It'll be added to the description, and it'll be added to the show notes in the podcast version, the sound version, so that you'll be able to check out these books further.
Okay.
So I think I didn't do that because I didn't exactly know which. We picked out 3. We weren't exactly sure which ones we were doing. So that's why I didn't add them. But I could have added all of them. Yeah, they're all good.
Yeah, they're all good.
All right. So does anyone have anything to add before we go to Jamie's book? Or do you have anything you wanted to add, Lori, before we?
I think I covered everything. Yeah.
Okay. Oops. Sorry if I am a little spacey a second. I'm responding to chat. So.
No, you're fine.
Okay. Cool. So we will. All right. Okay, Miss Jamie, let's see. Yeah. Are you ready? All right.
Oh, I kind of want to do like a comparison of 2 books. So one, I don't
Sure.
want to cover a lot in depth, and these kind of go, I would say, pretty well with like Lori's books too. But the first one that I want to just cover briefly is The Green Pharmacy. And I think that's a great one to cover. First off, it's an older book, so it's pretty easy to get used for a very affordable price. If you're just looking for an easy to access book. Also, I think this book kind of operates similar to a lot of online forums. I'm in lots of herb groups where people are like, what's good for this and what's good for this, which as an extreme herb geek and botanist, my answer is usually it depends. There's not a lot of fast answers.
Yeah.
But this is a great book for sort of that fast mind of our modern society. It gives just lots of little fast information and also a lot of folklore too. So one of my pet peeves is people speaking in absolutes on herbal forums, which to me usually means I'm going to question them more because there isn't a lot of absolutes. In this book, James Duke will be like, well, I once met someone who used this, or I once met someone who used this. So there's a lot of that, but it doesn't give these absolutes. It's really this is a folkloric remedy that worked for this person, and here's also science. So it gives a little bit of all of that. Also, this is Jim Duke heavily influenced me into herbalism when I was getting my botany degree, 20-something years ago, and was hooked on ethnobotany. He was my professor's good friend, and he came and he was singing songs about plants, and I was hooked. I was in love with him because he's very much folk herbalist, but also an ethnobotanist, and was an economic botanist for the USDA for years. And it's just an amazing human that holds this balance of science as well as folklore. and was a huge inspiration for me. He passed away this past year, but his memory lives on, and this is just a great book as that quick reference. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I specifically. Yeah, so it's, as far as like, I'm going off your questions too. It's just a great quick reference. To me, it lacks that like depth that I crave, but it's nice if it's like, oh, I know someone who has a cold sore. Let me see if there's something in there. Or, oh, bursitis. And you can kind of look up, and there's a variety of home remedies or some easy herbal remedies to come into, which is great. And not so much quotes from his book was I going to give, but he calls minestrone metastrone, which I really love, like just that like food-based nourishment. And I think that's just a good name, good mnemonic device. Like, right, I can make metastrone, and it just creates more of a mantra for the deep nourishment that can provide. So I just think it's a good book to keep on everyone's shelf as a quick reference and as just some like folklore as well.
I mean, with herbalism, you know, it's definitely not. Nothing about it is like one size fits all. So, you know, it is hard to sort of have, I mean, I think all the books sort of have to walk the line where they give good information, but yet they don't say this is the only way. It's tricky. But some things do work for most. So you can, it's good. Yeah. So that sounds great.
Yeah. He also, I'll just put in, he has a great phytochemical and ethnobotanical database on the USDA's website. So that's a great reference for more plant geeks too. I wanted to compare that to also what I consider like a beginner book, but people who are really craving a lot more depth, is Body into Balance, Maria Noel Grove's book. This book, I mean, this book, I was thinking like pros and cons. Like, I love this book. I can't really find many things that I don't like about it. First of all, it just has just beautiful images. Wow. Both photos and drawings. So it has this like gorgeous like coffee table beauty to it. Yet it's also so informative. It covers and she's a clinical herbalist, a registered herbalist with the American Herb Guild, and it's just very much a very technical herbalist, but this is a very accessible book. It goes through all the anatomical sections and physiology aspects, so you get a little bit of that connection, which is really important with herbalism. It's not this herb is good for this, it's not how does that work in the system. So it gives sections on that, as well as small materia medicas for different plants. You can connect with them in that way, and also has really great, similar to like things that Lori was mentioning in that book, it has lots of charts, really accessible charts, like a dosage chart that gives like different age people and the dosage that you would give of various things, as well as herb doses of various like teas, tinctures, vinegars, cordials. So it kind of breaks down your different dosages of your different remedy. Had another great, and there's so many great charts. And your extraction method, because that's another thing that I see people not always considering, is something might be water soluble, but it's not alcohol soluble. So she gives breakdowns of sort of your solubility aspects and the pros and cons of those different formulas, why you might use them. So those are all really helpful and really takes it the next level to learning to be an herbalist without it being overwhelming. It's still very much like layman's terms, but someone who's really diving into their curiosity aspect of herbalism.
So would you say, sorry, would you say that the Green Pharmacy book is more like brain, cerebral, hit your brain, and this one more hits your it has body in the title now.
No, I would say the Green Pharmacy it's like very much a quick reference. Like it.
Okay.
Yeah, like you can mostly. It does have sort of some materia medica aspects, but mostly it's like if you've got an ailment you're curious about, it's a great one to be like, okay, like I just opened to scabies. If you're like, oh, what are some options for scabies? And then you could look it up and it'll give both herbal remedies as well as various science. You might get some little factoids, but not nearly as technical. Even though Jim Duke has a lot of that background, it's very, very quick reference. So I would say just quick reference, that sort of internet mind, whereas Maria's book is very much more, I would say more cerebral, but very accessible.
Okay.
It's really in digestible chunks, which I love. Let me think what else I wanted to say about her book. Yeah, it's just way more in depth. I kind of think of it as almost like it's a little bit more of like herb school concentrated into a book a little bit. She also there's recipes throughout the book according to the body system, but then in the back she just goes through like herbal vinegar, herbal cordial. So instead of it being here's a set recipe, it just kind of gives your basic foundation. Like this is what you do for a vinegar, this is what you do for a tincture. So it just gives a variety of, I find to be very accessible options to dive into. And let's see.
And it could be really, I mean, I think that one of the reasons why we all find books so valuable, one is that we can't hold all the information in our brains. But the other one is that because everyone's not always so close to an actual herbalist to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. So you just said that like it's a good like this book is like almost like a good teacher. Mm-hmm. So if you didn't have access to that,
mm-hmm. yeah, it's a good teacher. It's also access to some of the herbalists we've lost who really were the pioneers of bringing herbalism back in a lot of ways. There's more and more like really young herbalists popping up, yet I really respect those elders that came and had that earlier knowledge and didn't have like a lot of the quick internet access. And I just love that additional connection with the plants, but trying as best I can to court as many of those and have as much of a connection to that greater plant and herb community as possible. And the path that the way that they've paved it to be easier, where now there's herb schools and podcasts and book interviews all over, and that just wasn't an option before. But I'm really grateful for their work that they've done. So that too.
Yeah, it's still very important. I mean, I know when I was trying to learn, there wasn't all this either. I think classes were just starting to go online, but it was like the herb schools were all very small and very local to the area. So, I mean, I was lucky to live here where like we have several in one area, but I think a lot of people were having to like move to go to school or to, so yeah. Now I mean, I like that the fact that there's a lot of online content. And even though I feel like, but at some point people still do need to get hands-on with the herbs, but it's definitely more accessible. There's more people chatting and us included. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, cool.
I think that says a lot about the expertise of the author too, it sounds like, because being in general the natural products industry for over a decade, you learn that because of legalese in this country, people on a professional level working with anything other than the allopathic route tend to have to be careful how they present their information. And I find that sometimes, maybe because of that, newer books are a little bit more sometimes, I will risk saying herbalism light, and the author might not feel confident or capable at delving into something at that depth, even to the point of giving dosage recommendations. That seems like a pretty big deal that she would go out on that limb, and that's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really well done book, and it's yeah, I feel like she ticks all the boxes, giving the information, but without this like rigid, like this is how it always works. So I think it really lays out. It's a book that lays out a foundation that I personally think a lot of herbalists need, is more of that foundation, rather than this quick fire sort of Western approach, like this is good for this, because that's not how herbs work. So it really helps eliminate some of that. It gives enough space for this greater container, and then you kind of go in through it. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's challenging because herbalism is so, the nature of it is so different than our, like you just said, our Western like thoughts of health and everything else. And even though it's, or modern actually, because in the past we had herbalism here, like in this country we had people practicing, and I'm assuming they were doing something similar to like not the cookie cutter version that we have sort of today. So I guess maybe it's just now, and it's and in a way it's a good thing, because it gets people to try to think a little differently about their health and their bodies and this approach to health. And yes. All right, cool. I don't have either one of those books, and I'm like, why? Because I definitely, I think I'm not alone. I definitely, don't have a foundation myself, and it's very patchwork in my knowledge, and I never was able, to find like just think it would be nice to have like that one-on-one teacher experience over a long period of time. But I think for a lot of us, it sort of doesn't quite happen like that. So that's really good that a book like that exists.
Yeah, you had mentioned David Hoffman's book, and I feel like this like steps it down a bit, because that's way more clinical, and definitely for someone who has a science background, has a health background. Whereas this is a lot more an interest, but then still allows a place to pick and choose where you want to dive deeper, but gives a little bit more foundation. So it probably also is more of my resonance. I came from a very heady botany background, as well as clinical background. But I like the witchy, I like the accessibility, I like people feeling empowered. So this kind of falls in that, here is enough information to equip you without it being too overwhelming, but that actually helps to lay out a little bit more of the connections between body, herbs, systems, ailments, things of that sort. Kind of connects those a little bit more.
Yeah, especially when these ideas, I think people who are coming into herbalism for the first time, some of these ideas are really new. And even I taught my coworker how to make a medicinal strength tea, and even that is very new for her. And she's like, can I brew it? She loves it. It was Tulsi. But she's like, can I brew it, like a regular tea? And I'm like, well, you would only get the flavor. So if you want the medicinal value, you need to do it like this. And I'm like, it'll be nothing in a minute. You'll get so used to it. You'll just be an expert in a second. But it was very, we spent a lot of time talking about like how to make this tea, because it was just so new. So yeah,
they would like this book because it has that capability. Like, so how do I make a vinegar? How do I make a tea? Like it helps with those accessibility. And then if you're like, well, why does it affect the system that way? Then you can go into that. Yeah. There's those layers.
Good place to start in.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Does anyone else have any questions about these two books or anything else to add before we go on? I'm going to say that's a no. Alrighty. Well, thank you, Jamie. All right, let's go back into, getting this switching down. Alrighty. Well, maybe I'll go next. Just, while my brain is still fresh. Let me take this one out. Hold on. While my brain is still fresh here. Okay. So Heather, to answer your question, hopefully, it should be good when you speak, but we'll deal with it.
And let me know, because it's really breaking up for me. So, okay.
I mean, it's possible you might have to move into another spot in your house. Remember, I don't know, but we'll when we come to that, we'll figure it out. I don't know if you have a spot you know is better or not. I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
All right, so let me. Yay! I'm going to do Abundantly Well by Miss Susan Weed. Yay! This is her latest book. I was supposed to do a review. They sent me an advanced copy. I'm sorry, Susan Weed's people. I have not done that, but we will be doing this probably on the podcast. Yes, it is kind of a review. But also maybe we'll do it on the podcast. And I've read most of it. It's been well loved. So it's the Complementary Integrated Medicine Revolution. So in deciding what's the best way to help heal a health challenge, or in just looking for ideas on how the best to take care of our bodies, sometimes the issue is not that there aren't enough choices. Sometimes it's that there are too many. Like you've got your mainstream stuff, like drugs, pharmaceuticals, and surgery. You've got your more alternative stuff like yoga, breathing, color therapy, aromatherapy, magnets, all kinds of stuff. And it can be a lot to figure out what's the best course of action. So the idea is once you have all your options, you can better decide on the direction you want to take. And this book takes a person through 7 steps. Susan calls them seven medicines. And they go in the order from least invasive to the most. And so, and then she really packs each step with references and places to go. If you need more information, you can look them up, like websites, other books. And then the best part is that the steps, you don't have to go through them in order as they're laid out in the book, and you can pick and choose. You can do several at once. So I think that's really, really, really cool. I wish I had this book when I had my health crisis, because I was kind of doing this book without this book. Yeah. And she's, so I think it's good for anyone who's ever had to deal with a major health challenge, especially in the United States. It makes a great majority of a person's health choices clear. I won't say it does everything, but it definitely covers a lot. And it acts like a guide through our crazy, we have a very crazy patchwork system. It's very disjointed. The mainstream medical system isn't connected with the herbal and the alternative system, which, the preventative health isn't connected with the part that does the surgery and all that other stuff that, they're all important. They just work they just work on different aspects. I think.
So, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So what body parts does she go through? Because, she's got all these other books that focus on very specific areas. Is this just a general well-being? Is this, what is it?
So it doesn't focus on any specific body part. It just takes you through. So like if you're sick, we're like, hey, I'm sick. My doctor just told me that I've got this like major illness that I didn't know about.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go through your options. Like your doctor's going to give you options, but maybe you're like, well, I don't want to do any of that.
Right.
What are my other options? So she goes through like, you're like, well, what's this aromatherapy? How do you do that? What's this? Like if I if I'm doing like yoga, if I'm doing like, if I am taking drugs, what's more information about them?
Right.
And she breaks them down. I'm going to go through the seven medicines are. So one is do nothing. So one is do nothing. It's called Serenity Medicine. 2 is collect information, story medicine. So story medicine, I have, let me just read you the quotes from each one, so it might give you a better idea. So story medicine is the stories we tell ourselves, the stories our culture tells us, the stories we believe, the stories we trust. Change the story and you change how you perceive and relate to your problems. Change your story and you change your life. So it's basically like talking about the importance of talking about your illness to other people and talking about it to yourself. So that is story medicine. Mind medicine is engage the energy. My mind and energy are in contact. Hands rest on my clothed body or move slowly in sensitive, gentle ways. Susan. She's always a little sexy. Obviously, I didn't read that part. But mind medicine, when we are intent on getting rid of a problem, we position ourselves athwart the natural flow of energy. As the energy pushes against us, we feel weaker and weaker and less able to control it. When we join with and engage with the energy, including the problem's energy, we absorb its power and grow stronger. So like it is the only way through, it passes through.
It sounds like the medicine, the wise woman tradition that she's still focusing on. You know what I mean? That's what it sounds like. She kind of goes through that through some of her other books.
She touches on them here. She touches on the 3. This book is sort of like a combined of a lot of her other books, but she does talk about the wise woman tradition versus the allopathic and the scientific. I'm trying to get an example of like what would be like. So one of the things in the mind medicine is forest bathing. So that's one of the things you can do. Tai Chi, Feng Shui, healing and non-invasive contact. So I guess like massage, laying on hands, building Christ, chakras, Reiki. So some of the things that you could do in that mind medicine.
Sounds like it's kind of promoting them like mind over matter.
Right.
Things that help with that.
Right, in that section. Yeah, it's talking about magnetic therapy, like all these things, dowsing, like just and then she's got all these websites if you want to look up like all about homeopathy, like the Bach flower essence. She talks about placebo, color, and like I think this is where she has the color. She talks about the different like Indian, like the pit. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Oh, the doshas.
The doshas, yes.
The doshas.
The doshas. And then lifestyle medicine is the heart and soul of abundant health. It strengthens, sustains, enhances, and fortifies our health. An enhanced ability to stretch and flex physically and emotionally is one of the gifts of step 3 and a maker of abundant health. So that's like stretching. That's like, let's see, what did she give here? This is where she works into food. She's just talking about vitamins, minerals, diets, food, more like food as medicine. Wild, she's got little charts. Wild foods can carry beneficial bacteria and yeast. Superstars of nutrition. So she's talking about her nourishing herbal infusions like nettles, oat straw, comfrey, hawthorn. She talks about yogurt, coffee, black tea, chocolate, mushrooms, seaweed, stuff like that. So it's exercise. It's all about more like the physical stuff.
Yeah. It sounds good.
Anyway, so she goes to alternative medicine, and then pharmaceutical medicine, which is the last one. So it's like pharmaceutical medicine is all the drugs and all the surgery and all that stuff. She's got like little testimonials, how to make herbal medicine in here. So yeah, and I think it's really good for pretty much anybody who, and the only part I don't like is the part where she talks about essential oils, because
She doesn't like them at all.
No, she doesn't. She doesn't. She's got a lot of strong feelings, and then while I understand how she feels, you know, and she's wanting to express it, I feel like she should have also included some of the information on the other side of the like kind of the debate, since this book seems directed to people who are unfamiliar to some of these therapies. I just think that it's a disservice to those people not to present both sides. And then also this section has no references, so it's just her opinion, and I find that kind of off-putting, and I feel like it's one of the places where the book goes against one of the main functions, which is to give information and help with clarity. So yeah, that's abundantly well. And she's a little more, she's very poetic in her other books and the writing. So this one, she's a little more matter of fact, a little more straight in some of that. Not that the other writing style is bad, but this one is a little more informational, but it doesn't feel dry. It doesn't feel boring. She's got a lot of quotes. And so it's cool. Has some chat. So Walking My Path asks, is this more of an overall book? Yes, it can be definitely like a good picture of like, it's like a little map, you know, if you're just confused about what I should do to heal a specific health issue, or maybe to help prevent issues down the road, or just maybe like I want more information about a specific like practice. It's a good place to start.
like a launching point so that you don't first go to Google and then overwhelm yourself.
Yes, exactly. And you'll get better information. So, and then she has like websites and all kinds of other stuff in here. Like she was going to write this book years ago, and she said she's glad she didn't because of all the internet stuff. So, oh, hello, Nancy at Crohn's Intuition has just joined us. Hello, welcome. Okay. Should we move on? Okay. All right. We've got. Cool. All right. So, does Ellen or Heather like to go next?
Let's see if it'll work out.
Do you want to try it, Heather?
No, I'll go last.
Go last?
Visitor.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Cat.
So we'll put Helen at first.
One.
Okay. Let me. Okay, Ellen.
So when you have a bookshelf full, I'm sure y'all had the same problem. What do you choose? And I like to dig back if I can, because I think that, like we were kind of discussing earlier, sometimes the elders and the people that we spend a lot of time in our culture reinventing the wheels that don't need to be reinvented, in other words. And I stumbled across the Herbalist at a used bookstore, and I was like, how can I not buy this? I mean, look at just the amazing
I have 2 copies.
on the front. And I mean, this was from back in a time when apparently it wasn't even like mentioned who the author was. So you actually have to dig into the beginning part and find the photo of the gentleman here.
You can still buy this real easily.
Joseph E. Meyer. Yeah, it's still out there. His son basically took over after he passed away to kind of keep it out there. But the first copyright was 1918. So we're talking prior to really any of what we know as the medical system today in terms of antibiotics, vaccinations, even, I mean, we were on the cusp of understanding vitamins and minerals. So at the time, I feel like somebody like him who was a botanist and did a lot of research had even more of a revered position in some ways in the culture, because he was cataloging all we knew of as medicine. Plants were what we had. That's all we had. So this book, I would call it, I mean, it's a reference book, and it's probably, I would, a culmination to some extent of his life's work. But it's really simple. I mean, it's black and white botanical drawings and then little snippets about each plant. And I don't necessarily know that he's telling you anything that other more modern books don't. But what I have found is that for as small of a book as it is, it's actually pretty thick. This is very thin paper, and it's very tiny print. And so he's crammed a lot of plants in here, which have fallen out of favor, I would say, to some extent, in terms of what's trending for herbalism. And so it's kind of a little bit of a treasure if you're a plant geek, because you're like, oh, I hadn't even thought about that plant has, this application. And he's just giving you a little taste of it. It's a little bit more of ethnobotanical leanings in terms of because he's cataloging historical uses of things, and it just kind of gives you a little bit of a snippet about each plant. He doesn't necessarily talk about the cultures that originated its use or anything, but I can tell from looking at it that he's clearly making a compendium of stuff that he's picked up all around the world, because it's probably more exotic than most plant catalogs were for its time period. It got its last edition was, at least as of when this copy was from, was 1976. At that point, his son Clarence Meyer had taken over his work and was trying to keep it out there in the world. Another cool thing about it is that near the back, it does go into, and this was clearly added in those later printings. It does have some color as well, but it does the modern style drawing, and then it has really classy 1970s quality photography as well. So it's like, oh, you know, in the day when we can like Google everything and get really good snapshots, it's kind of funny. For being, again, as small as it is too, he delved into a lot of stuff. The total content is medicinal plants. That's what makes up most of the book, and it's just those black drawings with the content. But then he has a little section about plant vitamins and minerals. And again, that was, you know, for its time period, that's huge that he even bothered to be like, oh, we've just discovered these things that we're calling vitamins. So did you know that they're in these plants? So that's pretty cool. He's got a section called beverage teas, which gets a little bit more into home brewing medicinally. Then a separate section for spices and flavoring herbs. And then plant colors that can be used for cosmetics. So if you're a DIY crafter, that might be a fun section to explore, as well as a section for plant dyes that can be used for fabrics.
Yeah, that was sorry to interrupt. That was one of my favorite parts, is the plant dyes, because I haven't seen that in any other herbal book.
Yeah, it doesn't get a lot. Botanicals for potpourri and sachet, dentifrice, gargles, and cosmetics, botanical curios, smoke flavoring botanicals, and then other assorted information. So it definitely crams a lot in for its time, and I think that that's probably also part of what has helped it be useful even in the more modern times. A little snippet that I flipping through this the other day, I just had to laugh at this, and I thought it was worth sharing. It says, it says in parentheses Chinese recipe, so I'm assuming this might have been like a proverb or something. He doesn't really explain it, but it says Chinese recipe: when teas taste best and when teas are least appreciated. So when teas taste best are when one's heart and hands are idle, when one's thoughts are disturbed, when shut up in one's home all day, when friends at a visit, in a quiet, secluded room with old photos, antiques, paintings, mementos, and sweet memories. And when teas are least appreciated are when you're at work, watching a play, opening your letters, in stormy weather, which I would beg to differ with that one.
Yeah.
Through your documents, or having a busy day. It's like, okay.
Why would it be bad when you're having, I guess you don't have time to sit down and properly.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a little peek into the like mental connection with the plant. It's like, do it when you have the time to really savor it and appreciate the wonder that is tea, you know.
Yeah, my mom got me this one at a thrift. I don't know where she was at a yard sale or at a, I don't know. And then Miss Heather got me one too, so I have two copies. Although this book is coming off. I think they're both from the same older 70s version. But I just put a link in the comments to Thrift Books. You can find it on Thrift Books. So it's an old book, but like, and also Amazon. But you know, you can still find it pretty easily, which is kind of surprising, I think.
Well, I think it's attributed in part to who he was. I did a little digging into that because this book's old enough that they don't really have like an about the author section. But he was a botanist, but he was a writer, an illustrator, a publisher, and this was interesting to me. He was a supplier of pharmaceutical grade herbs and roots to the drug trade.
Oh, wow.
And he became a prominent citizen, eventually a millionaire, and founded the Indiana Botanic Gardens. And at his death, he was said to be the world's largest distributor of herbs to be used in salves, cosmetics, and medicines at that time. So,
wow.
Enough of a name for himself that it was like, yeah, in people's interest to kind of keep the legacy going, which is pretty awesome. Oh, and sorry, it wasn't his son; it was his grandson. Clarence Meyer that then gathered a lot of previously uncollected almanac articles and stuff like that and started publishing more stuff and adding to the artwork. Apparently he was also an artist, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's got like, I don't know, it's cool. It's got the section on like
the plants are listed alphabetically according to their common name, so that makes it a little trickier to look through sometimes, maybe.
Yeah, I should have realized that, but I didn't. But yeah, it's got like it's decoctions, infusions, right? It's like it just in a lot of ways, even though it's older, it does feel like more of a modern. Like things are very recognizable, which I think like is what
you could say. He was probably sort of in a way the grandfather of herbal books, because so many herbalists since then have sort of followed a similar format in their constructions. So.
Yeah. Well, cool. Awesome. So I think Lori has to leave us soon. Right. So do you just want to maybe like just I can't. I think you're muted.
I can do one more.
Yeah, do you want to just do one more before you have to leave us? Okay, cool.
So my next one is the Herbal Healing for Women.
Yes.
So Rosemary is like, she's just queen. You know what I mean? I love her. I love that she focuses on food. That's like her big thing. She wants to heal by just nourishing and eating things daily and partaking of things daily. And in all of her books, she carries that theme, which I really love. But this one I have used a lot. It's probably one of my most favorite. She really focuses through all the stages of a woman's life, from the young years to the crone years. And I think it's important, for people to have this in their home, for women to have this in their home, because we all need, these are daily things that we have issues with that she covers. And it's important to know how to take care of our bodies with that. But the cool thing I like about this book is the very beginning. She goes through a pretty brief description of herbalism and of it, and then she also goes in how to make your own medicine, which we were talking about this just a little while ago. Beforehand, before books, before all this, it was all oral. You learned from someone else, and in these days, that's not the way it is anymore. And there are people coming into this world and seeing this, and I'm grateful that there are a lot of books that offer details. Right now, I'm finishing up her the science and art of I think it's home herbalism or something. It's a course, it takes about 3 years, and she goes even into more depth of this, which is really nice, and it's worth the money. One of the best things I like about this book is at the very back there is what is it called? It's like your own personal health profile. That's what it's called. So like after you go through the book and you've read it and maybe tried a couple of recipes, you go through this back part, the where you're able to go through your profile. So you answer all these questions, about your cardiovascular health, your muscle health, just all kinds of questions, which I'm pretty sure it almost feels like a clinical herbalist kind of thing. Is that right? Yeah. Something that they need before they actually start to formulate for you or treat you. But you're doing this for yourself. And I think it's a good first step for some people who herbalism to help them heal, and start with this, and it's like a big focus. What do I need to work on? What are the different areas that need some attention right now? And it's good that it's all in one place. In fact, when I first read this, I was just getting into, trying to heal us as a family. And I started doing like monthly checkups with my kids, almost based on this. We check their weight and we check their height and, just different things. Because I felt like that was important, to kind of keep on top of things. So that certainly moved me in a different, more holistic way of managing our health. So that's a really awesome part. And also in the back, her whole back section, I think it was you, Jennifer, that was talking about how there were, with Susan Weeds, there was no references.
Just in that one spot about the essential oils, the rest.
She's got Well, in this book, it's like immense. So, in the back, you've got like what page where all the, different recipes are, which I think is important. It's also got, let me go to it, all the references, all the book references, herb resources, and a lot of people who are beginning in this, they don't know where to go. It's not like anybody told them where to go or what to do.
Newsletters.
Newsletters.
I mean, with the time that this book was written, was maybe
30 years ago.
More important.
93.
But, still, I love me some tactile, like, newsletter things, books.
She's got a lot of references in here that I love so very much. And in fact, we have used a lot of these recipes for a long time, for a couple of things. So, I know that she knows what she's talking about. She's also got a beautiful, full Materia Medica, which I love. I'm just a geek about Materia Medica. I have like all kind of stuff about that. So she's done a really good job of that, giving you that Materia Medica. And the one thing, let me turn to it. She has a quote in here that I love very much. Well, it's a couple of sentences. It says, a magical, intangible process. Healing is an art, not a science. The same treatment regimen used on different patients for the same illness can sometimes cure, sometimes have no effect, and sometimes exacerbate a problem. If we are to heal the many levels of imbalance in the female world, today we must make some overall changes in our attitudes and beliefs. We must first and foremost remember and accept that for countless generations we carried the wisdom and the magic of healing within ourselves, and we must find a way to reconnect with that ancient place of wisdom and power. Like when I do a lot of my teachings, and most of my teachings, like classes, are like beginners and very specific, but I'm like, you already know how to do this. It's already in you. I'm just helping you remember, because that was our first healing. Food was our first medicine, and I feel like she really focuses on that and really talks about that a lot.
And I just want to add that this is the older cover, so if you're going to get it now, this would be what the book is looking like. Just so you're like, it looks different just because it's been such a long time, and also my book is falling apart. So,
so good.
It's I've had it for such a long time. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff, like, I feel like is almost very familiar. It doesn't, and even back when like I've picked out these books, nobody said, hey, get this book or get Susan Weeds' book. There were a lot of herbal books on the shelf,
And it's very much a kitchen medicine book.
Yeah.
There are some herbs that you're just not going to have that you probably need to get. But there's a lot of recipes in here that don't require that. And I think that's great. I think that's where we need to begin when people start and in their kitchen. And she really, really brings that out in all of her books, not just this one.
Yeah. Yeah, she's this one's good too. If you like very, very, this is a more general one. This is the medicinal herbs that a beginner's guide. So it's not specifically focused on women, but this has like gorgeous pictures and everything. So this could
Now
be
her newer book, the one for men, that's a fantastic book. That is a fantastic book, and it has lots of recipes, just like this one's all in color, so it's a little newer, and it gives a lot of information and a great materia medica for men in herbs.
which is there's like I think there's two. There's way less books about men and herbs.
Yes, there is.
I think there's like two that I know of, and I don't have either one. Which
I have Rosemary's, and I love it. I love it. We have 3 men in our house, and I've used a lot of those recipes in there that are great.
Yeah, I definitely need to try to get one of those for sure. And there should be more chat about both men and women on either side. There's just not enough. All right, so you have to go. Do you want to just tell us your website and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, my website is sisterofmotherearth.com, and you can go there and see my calendar, see my blog post. You can order, you can ask me questions through there, see where I'm selling, and any kind of class information I try to put on there. So when we get things finished for the Kitchen Witch classes, I'll have all of that on there as well. So, yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well,
thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. Bye. Have a good day. All right. There we go. And then there were 4. All right. So, Heather, do you want to try or?
Sure.
I think it's.
I mean, I don't know. See how it's going? Yeah.
Yeah. Let me.
This is my book. It's a really beautiful book.
Yeah.
Can you act it out?
Okay, yes. It's I've said
Driving. Okay.
Maybe type, and then Jennifer can read what you have to say.
I don't type.
So let's see. So your books were
okay. So it's Blackberry Cove.
No, not that.
Herbal.
Let's see. What is it? Blackberry Cove. I had Blackberry Cove. It looks like it's got really wonderful pictures.
With common herbs. It's very basic. It's not clinical at all. It's healing with common herbs in the Appalachian wise woman tradition.
Jamie, do you still need to go?
Yeah.
Your internet froze up? Okay. So we're also losing Jamie.
No, she's still there.
He's still keeps freezing up. Okay. Well, if you need to go, let us know. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, Jamie.
Yeah. Okay. So I think it keeps freezing. We're gonna okay. Okay, so I'll go close it. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so Jamie, Heather, hold on a second. Jamie. Okay, so thank you, Jamie, for coming. We're gonna say goodbye. Your internet keeps freezing.
Yeah. I didn't want to cut Heather off though in her animated illustration of her books. I just wanted I need to do this in a minute.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. We'll do it right now. And we'll go back to Heather looking for your this is so this is Jamie's website, and I just want to thank you for joining us and bringing your fabulous books.
Thank you.
Yeah,
there are so many more books to share.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do this again. Hopefully, if everyone is would like to.
Yeah. And I just want to share, I do have some classes coming up. So I have a 4-week Medicine Makers online class, which is, I love teaching that. I also have, someone had mentioned dyeing as well. I have a plant crafters class, which is going to be in Asheville, but that's actually going to be hands-on, more ethnobotanical Appalachian stuff. So cordage and natural dyes, and felting, not as much plant-based, but a good aspect for the dyes, and basketry. So I kind of do the whole ethnobotanical realm. And then a live foraging class and an online hearth tenders class, which is a lot of sort of more those lifestyles, tending the heart, the earth, the hearth, all in one. So those are all on my website, and we'll be starting, the first one starts in March. So March 20th. So yeah.
Awesome. Links in the description. So
Awesome.
to everything. And also have a Stories for the Earth interview with Jamie and Alan and Lori if you want to hear even more about all of them yet. Haven't had a chance to interview Miss Heather yet, but we never know. Okay. Well, we'll have a good day, and we will talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you. Good to share some time with all of you.
Bye.
Yes, nice to meet you. Bye.
All right, Miss Heather.
Hi.
And your internet seems to be working, right? Still too choppy.
I don't know what's going on.
You're working now.
Just, try maybe speak in little bursts.
Okay. The book is Blackberry Cove, and it's written by Linda Ars Rago, and I'm not sure I'm saying that right. So here we go. And it's a beautiful book. I've had it a while. It's about her family farm and where she would go as a kid, and her grannies lived there, and it's divided into seasons, cool. Summer, spring, summer, autumn, and winter, and each month. So it has herbs that are commonly found for each month and what she can do with them. And it's really good. Let's see if I can read any of my notes. And Linda Argo has been an herbalist for 25 years. And she's an author, a teacher, and has shared her wisdom throughout her career. She's written quite a few books. But yeah, it goes into little sections like spring, and you'll go into it. And it starts with March, and what she finds readily available in the Blackberry Cove in March, which is she talks about then mullein, coltsfoot, and willow, which she uses. How's it going?
It's going. It's going. Maybe there was
it's going
two.
Okay, guys.
Yeah, can you lift it up a little bit? I've got the book title. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I had the book title over the. Oh, I can remove it, but yeah, it's going. I mean, maybe there was too many people on the stream for your internet. I don't know.
Yeah.
but it's going much better.
I don't know.
I mean, you've been on the internet before.
Yeah.
So.
And my router's just right over there, so it's
Yeah.
not like I'm far from it.
Yeah.
But anyhow. But yeah, and then April, she speaks about violets and bloodroot, ground ivy, jack in the pulpit, and dandelion. And she goes through each month. And it's fun because she mixes in all of the stories about her grannies and other Appalachian women and such that lived in the area, and what type of, healing they could do, and a lot of folklore of the area. And it does give some basic preparations in the back with recipes and things.
I think what I like to hear is all of that. Like, I like to hear the herbal information, but I like to also hear
stories,
all those stories and all, and like a more sense of like where the author is coming from. And I did not get to do our book club book, which I was gonna do with this one, and that's one of the things I like about this one.
And
is the stories.
I was going to read one, but I pulled the tag out. Darn it. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh no.
But, a lot of it talks about how, some of them were thought of as witches, when actually, they were just wise women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. I was nervous because I didn't think my internet was going to work at all. So.
Yeah, I was worried. I wanted you to get a chance to. My cat's here. If you're hearing any meowing.
Yeah, is it okay?
Yeah, it's mostly okay.
One little story about that she tells in the book, because I couldn't find a quote, but I found this little short story.
Hey, we're called Stories from the Earth.
Okay.
Yeah.
It says, once upon a time, such a wise old grandmother lived just over the next hill. She was a good round woman who knew her herbs, and her neighbors called on her for healing and advice. Some folks called her a witch, but she was always good-natured. She said, truth to truth, you'll know me by the fruits of my deeds. One day, a tall, skinny preacher with a puckered-up mouth came along the cove to her cabin. The grandmother was in bed with a sore leg. I have come to name you a witch, he declared. I saw a rabbit in my garden last night, and I shot it with bits of silver button. It ran off limping and squealing. Everyone knows a rabbit will turn back into a witch, still shot, and here you are in bed. Foolish old man, said the grandmother. Do you know when you hurt an animal, you hurt yourself? It is true that I was hurt by your bullet last night, but not in the way you think. I took the injuries myself that should have been yours because I knew you were a silly man without any sense about the secrets of life. But since you came to claim what is yours, I can't help you. When the grandmother got up from bed as fit as a fiddle, the preacher ran off down the road in a tizzy. After he was out of sight and the dust had settled, she set off to find the rabbit. It came limping to her, and she took it home and nursed its wounds. The old preacher fell flat on the way home and broke his leg. The grandmother went to him with her herbs and gradually got his leg well again. He never shot another creature, and any time he heard anyone call the grandmother a witch, he would shush them and say, there are many secrets in life we know nothing about. As for grandmother, she got on with her healing. Sometimes when the night was clear, her spirit would run with the rabbit and know what it was like to be young and limber again. And I
That's
just
a
like
good
that
one.
story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that sounds like
it's a really
great book.
Yeah, and it's small. It's not,
Yeah.
certainly not not going to take very long to look through. And there's recipes that are for like, here's a black walnut pie, but there's also like
yummy.
Yeah, there's like plasters in here, like
Okay.
and there's decoctions and teas and tonics. So there's just a little smattering of each thing with each herb. So it's kind of good for a beginning place. And
how'd you come across that book?
People who love herbs. Huh? What?
How'd you come across that book?
Sure. Oh, gosh.
It kept cutting off.
I don't remember. I just
Wood Thrush Cottage. Diane says, "What a lovely story, Heather."
Trying to find something on thrift books, and it came up. Yeah. Thank you, Diane. Yeah, but I probably just found it because I do a lot of, rabbit holes I go down, and I'm sure it popped up somewhere just along the line, and I was like, ooh, because who wouldn't want to live in Blackberry Cove? I mean, come on.
I mean, I would.
Sounds like a beautiful place to raise. Yeah, you can go ahead.
I mean, Ellen lives in a cove, so I don't think it's a Blackberry one, unfortunately.
It's all right. Coves are beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you live in Bat Cave, and then you're totally different.
So, my cat.
You should, Diane. There's many stories in it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been like you've sent me some books that I feel like have been part of your rabbit hole, and I think that's fun. That's fun about like even the used books, and I wish there was like I could get to a used bookstore right now, like and see what they have.
Definitely.
So, which is fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we're gonna stop here. We're gonna.
Does Ellen have another book?
Yeah, but it's I actually have to go since it's 1:30.
Oh, okay.
And otherwise we would
another time.
I mean I have another book too, and I think you do as well. So yes, the complete book of the complete book of herbs. So that was oldie. Yeah,
it might be older than you guys. I don't know.
I think everyone is in their 40s ish. So we're not that far behind. But I'm gonna put the complete list of everyone's books and links, even if we didn't get to them all, because they're all really great. We got to most of them, so which was really cool. And I just want to thank everyone for joining us today, whether live or later on in the future. And leave us a comment. Let us know what you thought, and we would. I think everyone is interested in doing another one. So hopefully we'll be able to do this again. I can have as much as 10 people, but I think the 5 was a perfect amount.
Yeah, worked out well.
And really worked out. Yeah. So I just want to say that you can listen to us on Anchor in audio form. We have a Sewell Herbs Facebook group. Sorry, Stories for the Earth Facebook group. And if you want to join, please join. And Nancy says, I really enjoy it. Yeah, well, thank you, Nancy. And you can, not only will you know what's upcoming with our podcast, you also can have the opportunity to participate if you want to. You don't have to be an herbalist. You just have to have we're going to do these special topics. We've got the herbal books. There's going to be one at some point on irritable bowel syndrome. So you just have to have some experience or want to be on. And then we also have a YouTube channel, Stories for the Earth YouTube channel. And I am uploading all of the older interviews as well, and we'll have the newer ones. You can find new episodes on Anchor on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Wednesday of the month. And if you would like to support us, you can go to Anchor and click the support button and support us, because at some point we are going to take this show on the road and go traveling once this pandemic is over. And so you can support at $1, $5, or $10 a month right now. So and that would be cool. Ellen, do you have anything else to add before we say goodbye, or Heather, or anybody?
I just think it's
buy a book and read it.
That's a good thing to add. That's right. Heather says read it.
It can be a little dangerous, because it's like I already have a long wish list, and anytime we do this, it's just gonna get long.
It doesn't, makes it worse. Like
I
want. Yeah, there's at least 5 books, and I'm like, oh, I don't have. I mean, I have some of them. I had like 2 of them. So yeah, it is really bad, but it's also really good. So it's a good addiction. I'll just see more bookcases, as you can see, and more room. But
yes.
All right. So I hope everybody has a fantastic day, and again, I want to thank everyone for joining us. So we will talk. Bye. We will talk to her later. Heather, stay on for a minute after we get done being live. Okay? Okay.
Right.
Bye.